All right, well, we are going to get started here. So welcome everybody to the call today. We appreciate your time being on it. I'm going to introduce our speaker here, Lance Boudry, who has been published in popular publications like Business Insider and Opt-in Monster, a popular lead gen software tool. He likes to mentor startups in his free time, as well as speaks at various startup and investing program firms like Spring GR and Start Garden. And it's really no wonder why. Lance started Avalanche Creative back in 2014 and has directly and indirectly impacted numerous businesses since. He solely helped a client recently increase their lead volume through organic search by over 1,000%. And just recently in this past December, he more than doubled the business's email list from 17,000 to 36,000 emails. His best SEO success is the fact he actually got a website to rank so well that he was able to sell it, and that payment became the down payment for he and his wife Rand's home today. What Lance loves about search engine optimization is the ability to learn new things about different industries daily, and his insatiable curiosity keeps him learning every single day. If you want to be good at SEO, you've really got to gain industry expertise. And Lance has achieved that with many various industries, resulting in more increased leads, increased search traffic, and increased overall business for the businesses that he works with. So we're super excited to have him as well as you. Thank you again for being on the call today. And I'm going to turn things over to Lance Boudry.
Awesome. Brady, thank you for that. Wow. I just should say to everyone right now, I did not ask for that intro. He just offered that because I feel like it was very, very braggy. I am the best at being humble. So no, I'm just kidding. So that's tough to follow that. Brady's awesome too. I just want to give that back. So I am actually going to jump right into this. I'm going to stop my video and we're going to go through this slideshow together. All right. So you guys should be able to see my screen. This presentation really has been prompted by, honestly, the fact that we're all home, we're working from home. I just want to address the elephant in the rooms that there's a reality to the fact that we don't know what's going on in the world, and we just want to do our part in helping people if they've got some spare time. Different businesses are going to react differently to this, and some people are just going to have more time to take those projects that are kind of off the shelf that they haven't paid attention to, and we know that for some people that's going to be their SEO, their websites. We want to offer as much value as we possibly can. We're going to pack it into this hour here. So really, this is it. We're building demand-based websites. It's a case for letting data and human empathy drive what we build. So real quick, before we jump into it, who we are, Brady already mentioned a little bit. This is me. I'm wearing that shirt right now. And my wife, Rand Boudry, she's a co-owner of Avalanche Creative. And yeah, I started the business about 5-6 years ago, but really we've been focusing on demand-based websites, SEO, lead generation through your website for the last 1.5 years. It's really how we've niched down and just had a focus there. And these are two handsome gentlemen on our team. One has Fabio's hair, the other looks like Jake Gyllenhaal. And these guys, I love having them on the team. They are my SEO nerds. I can call them that because I am one too. And we love to talk about this stuff and share what we're learning all the time. And that's what this presentation is about. So real quickly, the agenda for this meeting, first portion is hopefully a somewhat new perspective on SEO through the lens of not what SEO can do for you, but why it's so important to your customer, your users, your target audience, and really developing search empathy so we can build what we call demand-based websites. Secondly, we're going to move into measuring the right things. So we're just going to touch on, okay, now that you know what a demand-based website is and how you can start building one, how do you measure success? Third, and this is probably the most valuable portion to this after you understand, is actionable tips that you can implement today. If you have access to your company's website, you can get things done. you can start moving the needle. And then finally, some Q&A time. So we're going to jump right in. Setting the stage here, 53% of the entire internet's website traffic is coming from organic search. Again, organic search is non-paid, and search being search engine like Google, Bing, Google really has the lion's share. But that is all traffic, all people going to any website that exists on the internet. Over around 53% is coming from that organic side. And that doesn't even include when people type in an actual URL. When people type in an actual URL, that's direct traffic. So moving on, just a little more perspective here. What is organic search? Again, it's that unpaid or free search results. Why does it matter? Why do we love it so much? The data from that organic search can actually help us determine what content your audience needs. And we're going to jump right into that with a very relevant example. So what's kind of funny is I use this example a lot because we have worked with a local landscaping company before, but I just visited my mom in Belding, Michigan this past Sunday. She just moved into her brand new house that she had built. And of course, her land was completely tilled. There's no grass at all. So this example is so timely. So I'm just going to take you guys on a journey here, right? Imagine you are my mom, which is a weird statement to make, but you just had a house built, right, on new land, so you need to grow grass. So what are you going to do? The reality is every human is going to use what they know to describe what they don't know, right? So you might start with something like grow grass on new lawn. And you go into Google, and you as the searcher are describing what a landscaper might call, hydroseeding or sod. But you're just using the language that you understand. So you're going to get different results. You might see then the word hydroseeding. You might click on a result that helps you understand hydroseeding. And then what might happen is you might go back to Google and rephrase your search and say, hey, what's hydroseeding? I want to know more about that. What's the process of that, et cetera? What are the costs? You learn more about it, and you're finally like, okay, I'm ready. I think I need hydroseeding. I'm going to look for a hydroseeding service provider in Belding, Michigan, or Grand Rapids, Michigan, or wherever you're from. So this is helping us understand a search journey that somebody takes. Now, it's not always that linear, right? What can happen is somebody can search grow grass on new lawn, find the result they're looking for, and that result could actually end up being the service provider. So by creating really helpful content based on how users search, you can actually get in front of your audience before they even know exactly what they need. So we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But first, I want you guys to understand that keyword research can help you understand your customers better when you look at it through the lens of true empathy. It helps you understand that people understand and arrive at your product and service quite differently. And we're going to give more examples of that. So for those of you who are like, what is keyword research exactly? In a nutshell, it involves identifying popular words and phrases that people actually search for in search engines like Google. There's different softwares that you can use in order to determine what those are, what some of the monthly search volume is, etc. But even more importantly, and a big part of keyword research is intent research. So intent is trying to determine what the ultimate goal of the searcher is based upon the keyword or phrase. Think of the search term counseling services. Some of you might think, oh, a therapist, right? That's what I'm looking for. Well, actually, there's financial counseling services, and those aren't really therapists, right? So taking it kind of keyword by keyword, you really need to analyze what's the true intention of this person. And everyone can use similar phrases, similar keywords, and actually be looking for slightly different things. And then finally, the implementation. So what happens after keyword research? What's the point of it? The point is to take keywords and those intentions, and those should become ideas and topics that define what content you implement on your website. Content being pages, blog posts, and content isn't just written. Especially today, content is video, it's images, it's a quiz, it's a calculator, it's anything that's helpful to your audience that they can interact with. So giving them what they want, giving them what they want to interact with, you really need to answer the question, what do they want, right? A searcher may enter the keyword hydro seeding services near me, but what else do they really want to know about hydro seeding, right? They can make the same search, but have slightly different intentions. So does the searcher want to just call a landscaper right away? You know, sometimes that happens, right? I know what hydro seeding is. I'm going to do a search, find someone who's trusted, who's got good reviews, um, click, call, I want to talk to somebody. But people more and more are self-educators. They want to collect all the information themselves, become more comfortable before they maybe fill out a form or make a call. So the reality is some searchers want less, some want more, and you don't know what they want simply based on the hydro seeding services near me search. So that's where we do something where we look at keywords topically. We analyze keyword data, get a panoramic view of whatever your topic is, whatever your product or service topic is, or whatever's related to it. So in this example here, there are over 4,000 variations of the ways that people search for the word hydro seeding, which is kind of crazy, right? It's just like, some of you are like, I've never heard of hydro seeding, or it's like, it's inconsequential. Maybe I'll never need it in my life, but wow, there's 4,000 ways that people search for it. 274 of those keywords are phrased as questions, and the average US monthly search volume for all of those keywords together that include the word hydro seeding is over 67,000 per month. And here's what's crazy, and I love this, is that 111 of those 4,000 keywords have local intent. And we determined that by the fact that we could take those 4,000 keywords and say, show me keywords that will show a map in Google when I make a search. So again, hydro seeding service is near me. If I search that, I can almost all but guarantee that a map is going to show up, because Google understands you want to find a local service provider. And if you ever seen the local pack or the map pack, that shows 3 local businesses in a map. Anytime Google thinks that you have intention to work with somebody or need some help locally, they're going to show that. So again, just 111 of those keywords show a map, right? But it accounts for 47% of the average search volume. So what that's telling me in this topic is, okay, 111 of them are what we call low funnel, you know, maybe ready to buy homeowners, right, that need hydro seeding. But we still have almost 4,000 other keywords that are, you know, not ready to buy, potentially mid funnel, high funnel, you know, they're educating keywords that people are searching. Those keywords should become topics. So this is how we look at this. We want to know, how well do you cover your topic compared to the data, right? Google has all this data. They understand this stuff. They know how often people are searching for hydro seeding or whatever your topic is, right? So if you don't have the content that the searcher may need, why would Google recommend you? So this is just visually an example here, right? If you don't cover your topic well in hydro seeding, and Google understands that you're missing out on all this, it's less likely that they're actually going to recommend you. And remember, Google is a recommendation engine. So content is a huge, huge part of your search engine optimization strategy. It needs to be if you want to capture more visibility. So what we do is we want to look at what's missing from your website, okay? Understanding your customer's possible journey and knowing that people are going to arrive at the same solution by taking many different routes is incredibly important. But here's the reality, and this is something our team is always trying to get better at. But knowing the route doesn't mean you experience the journey, right? Here's kind of the problem with SEO is, especially when you're the business owner, you're the marketer, you look at keywords and think about what you want to get out of them. You think about what you want to sell, what you want to offer, and then you kind of can easily get in your own way and not actually offer the best content, the best experience for the searcher. And so what we're trying to develop is search empathy, like really get in their shoes and look at keywords and topics and organize this content for a great experience to truly give them what they're looking for. Okay, so to kind of look at this visually, we want to help create content for all of their possible journeys. So I'm actually going to give you another relevant example. This one's kind of interesting. If you're from Michigan, you might have heard about the record-breaking Lake Michigan water levels this year. And people's houses are literally falling in the lake. I mean, there's all this shoreline erosion and people need to scramble. So a little over a year ago, a marine construction company started working with us. And they told us their product or service was called Riprap Rock Revetment. Riprap is this limestone rock. It's like huge. If you've ever been to a pier on Lake Michigan, it's that big stone along the pier. And rock revetment is kind of the engineering process, the construction process of putting it in so it kind of prevents shoreline erosion. Now, we looked at it and we were like, okay, well, not a lot of people are looking for that exactly. However, they are looking for shoreline erosion, bluff protection, how to prevent my house from falling in a lake, all these different terms, right? So we're going out there, we're actually writing about the problem, not the solution. And we even took this a step further. We kind of thought bigger, like at the very high end of the funnel, so to speak. We understand that the term Lake Michigan water levels, it gets searched, I think maybe 4,000 sometimes per month. A lot of people are just curious, right? Those are not the ideal buyer, but there is a chance that even a small percentage of those people are thinking in terms of like, oh my gosh, I have a house on Lake Michigan. What are the Lake Michigan water levels right now? I want to monitor them. I want to know what they are. I'm curious. And that could lead somebody to an awareness of your brand, lead them to your site, and they could even potentially reach out. And it's just a value added piece of content to offer. But we have actually tracked it. And that strategy, we've been updating Lake Michigan water levels for about 6 months now. And we actually have been able to generate leads from that high funnel strategy right there, right? Again, most people looking for Lake Michigan water levels are probably not the buyers of their solution. And I know they aren't. However, if there's a chance that our buyer is interested, it's helpful. And it's helpful to a lot of people. So let's put it out there. So now that if you've done keyword research, it can be really challenging to figure out what do we do with all this. Keywords need to become topics that you cover on your site. So a lot of people, we hear this a lot, like, oh, I've just built a website, put all this content in, now I got to sprinkle in keywords, right? Oh, we hate hearing that. It's a terrible thing to hear. That's not how it works. The keywords need to become topics. They're identifiers. So we look at things like this. How much does hydroseeding cost? DIY hydroseeding versus sod. And we create what we call a pillar page, a pillar post, or a cornerstone piece of content called Hydroseeding 101. And we're going to cover it in like a 3,000 word blog post because there's a lot to hydroseeding. Now, a lot of you are thinking, okay, most people are not going to read a 3,000 word blog post. And you're right. But the reality is Google doesn't know that. Some people may want to do it. And the reality is some people may want to learn a little bit about DIY hydroseeding. So what we can do in a 3,000 word blog post on Hydroseeding 101 is create a table of contents and break it up very logically into, hey, here's a topic of DIY hydroseeding. And while I'm actually talking about DIY hydroseeding, you might be thinking, like, wait a minute, if I sell hydroseeding services, why would I write a post about DIY hydroseeding? Well, easy. It's helpful to your potential audience, right? And the reality is when people search DIY or how to or anything like that, not everyone has made up their mind. In fact, I'm sure most have not made up their mind on whether or not they're going to do it. And again, coming from the perspective of do not write a DIY post to benefit your business, right? Don't talk about it like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to do. You don't want to DIY hydroseeding because here's everything that can go wrong. No, just give them the straight facts as if you have nothing to benefit from them choosing to work with a service provider instead. That's what Google wants. So give them the absolute best. And the reality is some of them are just going to decide on their own, you know what? This isn't worth it. I would rather you help me out. Can you, Mr. Customer, give me a proposal, give me some more information, right? So to summarize this process here, building demand-based increases traffic. Search engines are focused on creating a better experience for the searcher. That's what Google's trying to do all the time. They are trying to give people exactly what they're looking for. That's how they're going to stay in business. And that's exactly how you can grow your business if you align yourself, if you think the exact same way. So valuable, evidence-based content allows you to align with that focus, and you get rewarded with relevant website traffic. And you get people that trust your brand, enjoy your brand, recommend your brand. You get exposure. It doesn't just generate leads over time, it builds brand authority. So to summarize, your website needs to be a library of human-focused, helpful, and educational content. Now, again, one other, I always like to maybe speak to the people, the naysayers who are like, oh, no, why would I write a big, long post about my topic like hydroseeding 101? People can just Google it, right? They can Google it, find out for themselves, and then come to me. Well, that's not the way Google thinks, right? The hydroseeding services search, right? They want to know that if a user has a question about hydroseeding and they're on your site, they can get it answered there, not have to go back to Google, and then you're losing them, right? So yeah, a lot of times you're potentially creating content that already exists out there, but they've found you. You can help them. So 1, 2, 3 of this process is analyze data, define evidence of the need, create content your audience actually demands, and that's going to build your authority and generate leads. So now we're moving on to measuring the right things. We always say you cannot improve what you don't measure. So enter the reverse goal path. The reverse goal path is something that is in Google Analytics. For those of you that don't know, Google Analytics is free software you can put on your website to understand how people are getting to your site and the behavior that they make when they're on your site. But the reverse goal path, it shows you what pages your goal conversions, and goal conversions being clicks to call, form fills, sales, anything that you want to measure on your site, okay? It's going to show you the path that people take, the journeys they took to get to that place, right? So why does it matter? It helps you understand what pages, what content is the most valuable, what sources are bringing the best visitors, organic search, email, social, doesn't matter what channel, you can figure that out with this, and where you should be focusing your energy for improvement. The reverse goal path is essentially your game film. So I'm a big football guy. I love a good football analogy, so I'm really geeked out about this one. Imagine you get on the football field, you're the quarterback, and you need to score touchdowns, but you don't know where the end zone is, and you're not keeping score. If you don't have goals set up, and if you're not looking at your reverse goal path, it's essentially the same thing. So here's a quick little example. With the reverse goal path, you're essentially able to learn from your best plays. So at the highest level, the NFL, they have coaches, I'm sure, that are dedicated just to reviewing game film, right? They want to look at all those touchdown plays and say, hey, how can we do that again? We want to make sure to be scoring touchdowns on every play. So they review the game film and they say, okay, what's contributing to our success? In the reverse goal path, if you have goals set up on your site, and in this case, this website has form submissions, phone link clicks, email link clicks. And over this time period, we can see how many of those goals were triggered. And we can see that 60% came from organic traffic. But what's even more interesting is we can see the goal steps along the way. So we can see what page they converted on and where we scored the touchdown, and we can see how they entered the site. And so we know in this particular example, it's a fireplace store, we made sure that they broke out all of their services and optimize this page called Fire right here. So we can actually come back and say, look at this, we've been working on this page, we've been adding this content, making it more valuable, and it's contributing to the thing that matters the most. So many people want to look at rankings and traffic, and those are all symptomatic. And a lot of times they can be vanity metrics. People can rank sites and get traffic, but it doesn't lead to the things that matter the most. So real quick, in Google Analytics, it's located under conversions, goals, reverse goal path. Okay, now my favorite part here, actionable tips to implement today. They're going to be so easy that a caveman can do it. Our tagline in our business is building momentum for your business, but this is how you can build your own momentum. And before I jump into this, I do want to say this, all of these tips here are things that we actually share in our weekly email. So if you want more of these, please sign up for that. Set up Google My Business tracking. If you are a local business at all, hopefully you know what Google My Business is. If you don't, Google it after this, sign up, fill out your profile completely with all that relevant information. But here's why setting up Google My Business tracking is so important. When you create a Google My Business listing and you have Google Analytics set up, they don't out of the box speak to each other well. So you have a button on your Google My Business listing that's for your website. So using something called a UTM code, you can actually add just a line of code to your website link that you place in your Google My Business, that when that gets clicked, it will trigger in Google Analytics, and it'll look like this right here. If you set it up the way we did, and we have a nice link here at the bottom, it walks you through exactly how to do that. It will actually show you traffic that's coming from your Google My Business. And here's the crazy thing. In this example, over this time period, for this customer, they had 98 visits. I think this was a 30-day period. That was only 5% of their traffic. But because we have goals set up, we can see that was over 27% of their goal completions. So Google My Business is incredibly important. And again, for Google My Business, you're going to show up for different things. When I search Avalanche Creative, my Google My Business will show up on the right side on a desktop. That's your Google My Business listing. But if you search certain terms like hydro seeding services near me, right? That's what we call a non-branded search. I didn't search for a name of a company. Then that local pack that I mentioned earlier, 3 businesses are going to show up. And that, again, is your Google My Business listing. Now, there's things you could do on-site and off-site and on your Google My Business listing that will increase your visibility in the search engines for your Google My Business listing. Next, still on the topic of Google My Business, posting anything really, but especially recent helpful articles to your Google My Business. So this is something I'm not sure a ton of businesses are very aware of it yet, but your Google My Business, it can kind of be treated like another social media account. And in many ways it should be. You can create offers, talk about events, post information about products. But after you've created a helpful piece of content on your website, especially if you're local, you should add a post and you can add a link to it. We have actually seen that by doing this, we are getting better visibility, and you can actually see that people are clicking on those posts and going through to your website. It's fantastic. Okay, this one's kind of fun too. Going back to the reverse goal path, update your team page. This one is huge for the service-based businesses out there. It doesn't really matter if you're local or not. This is huge. And the reason we believe this is so huge right now and really trending up is, again, going back to the fact that people self-educate. People spend time online. They want to get more comfortable with a buying decision before making the decision to reach out. So for any business that's going to involve some kind of interaction with a human at some point, that isn't transactional. So like e-commerce, this matters a little less. But if you're a local business and there's going to be some kind of interaction, your team page is huge. So we've been noticing by analyzing some client accounts that a lot of those desired actions are happening either on a team page, or the team page is influential in that journey, in that play to scoring a touchdown. Updating your page title or meta title, it's the same thing. Those are interchangeable tags on your website. This is easy. And real quick, before I forget, you can check all of your title tags in the SERPs, that stands for Search Engine Results Page, by searching site : your website, and then you'll just see all of the pages on your site and you'll see your title tags. So it's the one in purple here in this example, Wedding Cakes Milano Bakery and Cafe. But here's the reason why these are so important. First of all, it's a very important ranking factor. Second of all, it can increase click-through rate. So some studies have been done recently. Years ago, the #1 position on Google used to get way more than position 5, let's say. But what's happening is just the way that Google has changed the look, the layout. People are actually spending more time looking kind of throughout the entirety of the first page, which means that position 2, 3, 4, and 5 are actually getting more clicks through. There's a better percentage share of those clicks. And you, even if you're not at position 1, but maybe you're a few lower, can actually optimize for clicks through to your website by having awesome call to actions. I mean, look at this one. Wedding cake vendor, Detroit, Michigan, right? Which one stands out to you? I'm going to take the free tastings. And that's what's great is you can tease people with like what is on that page and what is it that they're ultimately looking for. Obviously, they're looking for a wedding cake vendor, but wow, that's awesome. I'm going to just pretend I'm going to get married because I want to go taste some free cake. So you have control over this in your site of what that title says right there. And while I'm on it, your meta description right below the link there, you also have some control over that. You can write that and that should be very convincing, a really good copy. However, it's not actually a ranking factor and Google will manipulate that. If I were to say, for instance, cheesecake vendor for a wedding or something like that, because I know that that page mentions cheesecake, it will do something where it like maybe says some of that title, but then says ... cheesecake in bold to help the user understand, oh, these people do cheesecake, right? So they'll manipulate those descriptions there, but they won't manipulate your titles. Next up, this is a huge one. Recently, some SEO nerds took to Twitter and were talking about what is the most underrated SEO hack or thing to do. And the top one was updating old content on your site. And then secondly, internal linking. This strategy here that you can take does both. So what I'm going to tell you to do is go to your website, pick your service, your product, maybe just focus on one and focus on the one that you want to potentially get more leads for, more visibility for. Take a look at it, especially after going through this process and trying to develop some of that search empathy, and look at some of the words on your pages, the ones where it's like, I don't know if everybody understands that. Or even just take the name of the service and then go to something like answerthepublic.com. It's a free resource. You put in shoreline erosion, and it'll tell you all the questions that people have about shoreline erosion. Then you can go out there, write a really great blog post answering all the related questions and really diving into that topic, and then add a link to your service page. So in this example here, this is a local company that mentions, okay, yeah, we do shoreline erosion, but wow, what does that mean? What is shoreline erosion, at all? So there's a link to that post right on this service page. It's a great way to just increase some visibility for you. And that's pretty much it. I think we've still got plenty of time for Q&A now. So I believe that Brady and Rayanne are actually going to help me to answer some of these questions. Because we've already got some. And I'm coming back to the video. Hi, everyone.
All right. First one here is from Jessica, who actually gave us a shout out from LA. Hey, Jessica out in LA. She asks, do you have any blog posts about how to get started with Google Analytics?
Ooh, yeah. We do have a couple of posts on our own page. I know actually Jared just wrote a really great post on using Google Tag Manager, which I don't believe I mentioned yet. But we really prefer to use Google Tag Manager. And what that does is essentially puts a little script or a container on your website. And then you can use that to manage any other third-party scripts. Scripts meaning like Facebook pixels, so it's and Google Analytics and anything else that'll help you understand the behavior, help you with all of your digital marketing. And then we have a few resources on Google My Business. But of course, we don't have everything on our own site. So I would, encourage you use Google. That'll help you get started. But focus, but focus on, again, like we said, the things that matter most. Set up goals, number one. You can't improve what you don't measure. So, and we do that with Google Tag Manager, and that's the best way to do it. So hopefully that answers that question. If not, I'll be sure to follow up with some more resources though.
Awesome. She had a quick follow-up question, Ray, and I know you have a question coming too. I'll just ask Jessica. Jessica's quick follow-up question is she just typed in her site search, and her search results aren't showing all of the pages on her site, just some of them. And she's asking what's up with that.
Okay. That's an interesting one. So without digging into that, there could be a few things. One, immediately I'm thinking there's some pages then that aren't indexable. So there are ways to set a page to not index in Google, or maybe there's just some kind of technical error that's preventing certain pages from being indexed. But without looking into the specific site, I wouldn't know. But
all right. Rayanne, I think you got the next question.
I think we answered the two that I saw. Any other questions out there?
It looks like Michelle has one here. Yeah. Speaking of meta tags, I've noticed sometimes on Google search engine, there will be several topics you can click on underneath a business name. For example, you might see a business name and underneath you'll see contact, about, hours, services, etc. Yes, so these are called, oh boy, I'm blanking on that. Those are the site links. Thank you. That's it. Site links. So site links will more often than not appear on what we call branded searches. So when people are searching for the name of your business, you don't actually have any control over what those links are. Google just recommends maybe the most popular pages on your site. What they will do sometimes, though, I've seen this start to happen, is on the non-branded searches. So any of those topically related searches, especially on, like, for example, a Hydro Seeding 101 post, if you are marking up your page appropriately using what's called anchor text so that people can get to positions in a page, Google will add a little link that says, like, hey, jump to the DIY section, right? They can see how we've built the page, how we've organized the content well, and that makes it really easy for Google to see, like, oh, okay, they've searched DIY hydro seeding, and that's a part of this really long post. We're going to send that person right to the position on that page. So you have to actually make sure that your page actually is built that way, and it's easier for people to navigate it.
All right, another question. How does social media directly affect SEO?
Ooh, wow. So we don't spend a ton of time in social media, at least like working on it for clients, but here's what I always like to do, like as a rule of thumb. And this is why I love SEO so much and digging into, the keyword research, etc. It helps us get, I think, a really good pulse on what content people will enjoy interacting with on social media. So, using, if you have a really good keyword research strategy and that turns into creating great topics for your website, those topics you absolutely should be sharing in your email marketing, on social media. And then it is probably worth noting too, like Google does look at, social accounts that they are registered. You can use them as like local citations. So citations are essentially just mentions of your business or maybe listings. Those are very important too, to increase any local search visibility, because getting on Yelp and Foursquare and just all these different ones, a lot of times you're thinking to yourself, nobody's going to find me on Yelp or Foursquare, and you're probably right for a lot of businesses. But Google looks to those to validate your business and say, oh, they're legit and the information is consistent, etc. So hopefully that somewhat answers that question, at least on the topic of social media, SEO. There's a lot we could dive into. I could probably create a whole new webinar on that though.
Mhm.
Okay, here's another good one. My boss doesn't care about SEO because his client base doesn't find him online at the moment. Could he be penalized for that at some point?
Could be penalized. Wow. Okay, I'm
Or
gonna
maybe
answer
I would add my own by Google as the follow-up.
by
And I
Google.
would
Okay.
also just add my own question of, if your boss doesn't care about SEO because they don't believe they're being found online right now, what does that mean for your future?
Yeah. Well, first of all, success follows investment, right? If SEO is not working for you today, take a look at like, what have you done? And have you measured success well on your website? And again, have you invested in it before? Have you tried it? And really, what did you do? Or what did the maybe company that you hired to do SEO, what did they do for you? Because if content wasn't a huge part of it, I don't think they were doing SEO for you. They were doing maybe tactics, tasks, concerned with SEO, but they weren't doing comprehensive SEO. So it really comes down to measuring the right things and investing in the right process, the right strategies. Otherwise, you won't see results from it. And that goes across the board. That's for any digital marketing, right? It doesn't matter what the source is. Penalized for not doing SEO? Is that kind of the question? No. You're not going to have much visibility, right? If you don't invest in it, if you're not creating helpful content.
I would add too, I'm no SEO expert myself, but I would say your business might not be getting clients from online search now. You might be able to get customers elsewhere, but think of all of the customers you're missing out on. There is a huge potential client base that is searching for what you are offering online that you're just not reaching. So to say that you're not getting customers from search is just because you're not reaching those customers that are searching for your product or service.
The other thing, and I'll use this example because it's one of the easier examples. So we have a few customers that have retail stores, right? They take foot traffic, right? And that makes it a little bit harder for us to measure success, because like I was showing you guys those goals on Google Analytics, I can't measure foot traffic really. I wish I could, from those goals, right? I'm measuring like clicks to call, clicks to email, forms, downloads, etc., right? But search engine optimization can benefit and go, oh, hey, here's this local business. Okay, I've checked them out. I've checked out their website. Maybe I didn't even go to their website. Maybe I was just on their really well optimized Google My Business listing. Now I'm ready to just go visit them. And the work of SEO contributed to that, but we don't really know, unless you're actually, every time somebody walks in the storefront, they're like, hey, how'd you hear about us? What did you Google? Doing something like that. But even with that, we always say buyers are liars. Sometimes they don't know. They don't know. They don't recall how they heard about you, right? So, yeah. Any other questions here? Another good one. Keep it coming.
We just had another good one.
Thanks, Jess. You're the real MVP of Q&A. I'm opening a small business where 90% of my advertising will be online in a field that's already saturated, but the sites are surely not optimized. How does length of site life and traffic weigh against a new but very optimized site?
Wow. That's a
insightful
loaded,
question.
I'd like that question. It's loaded. I will say that based on my experience, site age or length of like how long has a domain existed, how long has it had content does tend to come with some credibility. The longer it's existed, the more consistently you're adding content or getting links back to your site is going to increase your trust and your authority online. So it could be an uphill battle, but it is that long-term investment that's worth making if you're willing to make it. And you're right. If you are out there, if you are motivated, you're benchmarking your competition, and you truly are offering more helpful resources, not just to benefit you, but to benefit them, your target customer, then you'll start to see success. And if another thing to consider, if it's true that the competition is doing well, but they're missing out on opportunities, there's always room for quick wins. So we have customers sometimes, if you have to do a really comprehensive look at your keyword research, look at the low volume stuff. So here's the thing with keyword research, it's looking at history, right? You're looking at like the last 12 months and average search volume. So we have one customer, as an example, they came to us, we want to rank for this term. And it showed us like 10 people a month in the entire state of Michigan were looking for this. And topically related, there wasn't much. But we're like, okay, we'll help you out. We'll see what we can do. We positioned them well. We showed them like, hey, wow, we got you to number one rather quickly, because low volume tends to mean lower competition, a little bit easier to rank for. But then a few weeks later, the business owner was like, whatever you guys are doing worked. We got like 5 phone calls in one day for that service that you helped us optimize. And we were like, what? And we realized like, oh yeah, keyword research in the data is not a predictor of the future, right? So we kind of just have to work with what we have. And even the data is never perfect. So, take it with a grain of salt, and you might look at something like, oh, I don't want to try and optimize for that topic or this keyword because it's too low volume or it won't lead to anything. Not true. We have people come to our website all the time because we're going after some very niche, low volume stuff, and it leads to good business. So I would still just encourage you to, benchmark your competition and beat them. Do better.
Nice.
Any other questions?
Do you have any real life examples of that?
Of the example I just gave?
Yeah, that was just coming through. Sorry.
Yeah. So one of them was actually, it's still the hydro seeding company. So they have another business where what they do is stone slinging. So it's what they offer is aggregate supply. Aggregates being like landscaping material for construction, usually commercial grade construction stuff, right? And anyway, so like you need stone for different construction jobs, right? And typically what people do is buy stone, have it delivered, and then you still have to install that stone. So a stone slinger is this machine that actually will shoot stone like precisely into like within a foot radius, and it can shoot it up to like 80 feet or something ridiculous. So the market doesn't really even understand that these are available because they're rather new. So we have to do some educational content around that. So we looked at, stone slinger. How often is that actually requested? How often is it actually searched for? And it was like, well, nobody really even knows about this stuff yet. But we put something out there, and just because there wasn't a lot of content out there about it, we were able to get a lot of visibility for it. So that would be one example.
Awesome. Next question's from Kiera. She says, going back to the posting on Google My Business page, is there an option to post a link, say, to a blog post, or should the blog post itself be listed on the Google My Business page?
Yes, I would. there are links in those posts. I think like Google breaks down the post into different categories. Like I think I mentioned like events, offers, and updates. And I think updates is the one that you'd want to use for any blog post. And you can add a link right to it. You can actually change what the call to action is on the post. So I think if you're in there, you can change it to like learn more or like link and then add a link to your post.
All right, we have one more question, and then for the sake of time, I think we'll try to wrap it up and offer some resources to continue helping you guys out. But so this last question, does the framework for a site, hand-coded WordPress, Squarespace, etc., matter at all for building demand-based websites and SEO?
That's a tough one. It's a loaded one. My gut is to say yes, but it just matters. It matters on who's building it. Both the, maybe an initial build of a site, the framework, and who's going to be managing it long term. Personally, we're a big WordPress company. We love WordPress because it's open source, really well supported. We can pretty much do whatever we want with it. I really prefer WordPress because we're able to build out the site at scale. With closed source sites like Squarespace, Wix, all of those, you can't do that. I truly believe that with most of those types of sites, you're kind of just going to be pigeonholed a little bit. So for example, on our own website, what we do is I mentioned landscaping. We help a lot of landscapers. So we have a category of SEO for our blog posts, but then we have tags. And tags is where we can then add like landscapers as a tag, right? So when I make a post that's SEO related and I mention landscapers, or I have a post that's helping landscapers, I'll tag landscapers. What that allows us to do in building our site is when that post is made, we also have an offer. So we're not just concerned with like, hey, let's get a bunch of traffic to our site through SEO, but we want it to go somewhere, right? So we're writing an SEO for landscaping post, and then we have a call to action, which is download this lead gen marketing guide for landscapers. Now, the way we've built our website on WordPress is that when I tag a blog post with landscaping, it's automatically going to add that call to action. And I'm able to do that with the tools that I use in WordPress. And really, it's just a lot easier to organize your content with WordPress, I believe. And SEO has a ton to do with organizing content. If you're not organizing content well, you're not doing SEO to your full capabilities. So yeah, that's great. Those are a lot of great questions. So we only have like 4 minutes left. So I just want to give a quick plug right here. Again, we're not selling anything here, but we want you to know that you can subscribe to our weekly email at avalancegr.com/avalanche email. You can keep learning. We have this SEO services list. It's actually, to be completely honest, it is our own internal SEO process. We're pretty much just sharing more and more and more all the time, helping people do this themselves. And as a teaser, we are actually working on our own course to offer to people to do this themselves. We really do want to help, especially small business owners and digital marketing nomads, people that just want to live that laptop lifestyle and build something themselves. And then lastly, just with everything going on in the world right now, we want to offer like a quick 5-10 minute meeting to anyone that's interested in a free audit. And when I say audit, there's so many things that can be with SEO. I do want to say it's just limited to what we're going to do is throw your domain, if you have an existing site, into our software, SEMrush, and really just kind of like pick it apart and kind of give you ideas for some content that you can be working on to improve your site. And that's it. We really do have to limit ourselves, but we want to offer that to people. We don't usually do things like that. But this is our way of trying to help the economy and help people advance their business while they may have some extra time. So feel free to just contact us on our site about that, and we can schedule that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for joining. It's been a pleasure, and tell your friends.
Hey, Lance, we're going to have a recording for everybody, right? That we're going to share?
Yes. There will be a recording. I'll email everybody that signed up that recording as soon as it's ready to go.
Right on. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Appreciate your time, Lance.
Yep. Bye.